guys, thanks for visiting my channel. Today we are going to be making peach barbecue sauce, and it is so delicious. I'm really excited to share this recipe with you. If you follow me on Facebook or on Instagram, you've got a sneak peek of this. So if you are not following me there, you might want to check me out there, because I do give you sneak peeks of what's coming up, and I also share some things on there that don't always make it to my channel, so you might want to check it out. But anyway, this sauce is so delicious. We ended up making peach barbecue pork chops with it, and it was absolutely divine. So I wanted to share the recipe with you. It is from the Ball Canning website. I looked through my Ball Canning books. I didn't see it in there, but it is on their website, and it is called Zesty Peach Barbecue Sauce, and it is really delicious. Now, a couple of things. When I was reviewing the recipe, in the reviews, people talked about how it came out more like a chutney for them. And Ball does say that if you want a smooth sauce, you'll have to use an immersion blender or blend it in batches in your blender to get it a smoother barbecue sauce like texture. I just use my immersion blender, and I'll show you that here in a little bit. So just be aware of that if after you cook it, it's still a little on the chunky side, that's totally fine. You didn't mess up. That's just how the sauce is. If you want it like a smooth barbecue sauce, you'll have to process it in some way. The other thing is, and this is just a word about safety, once again on canning, it's really important to try to follow a tested recipe and to not add more than what they say. Like, I'm using red pepper and I'm using fresh onion in this. It's really important to stick to the amounts that they tell you, because if you use more, you can change the pH level in your jars. So if you've watched many of my canning videos, you know I'm a safety girl, so I try to follow the recipe as closely as possible. Now, I did make a swap in the recipe, and that was the vinegar I chose. Their vinegar, the recipe says to use apple cider vinegar. I swapped it out for white balsamic, because white balsamic vinegar is divine with peaches. You just want to be aware that any vinegar you use, it's okay to swap it for another one. You just have to read the label and make sure it's at least 5% acidity. And my white balsamic is, so I was really excited to use it, and it came out really delicious. I was really happy with it. So let's get started. So the first thing you'll need is 6 cups of peaches. You want to peel them and dice them up, and you want 6 cups. So I'm going to put that in my pot. And actually, this is a really easy and it's a quick recipe too. So I'm going to go ahead and turn my heat on to about a medium heat. To that, you are going to add 1 cup of finely chopped red pepper. I just chopped mine kind of small. You also need a cup of chopped onion. I used a white sweet onion. It just says onion, it doesn't specify, so you can use whatever you want, but a cup of that. And then you need 3 tablespoons of finely chopped garlic. Then to that, we are going to add a cup and a quarter of honey. Now, I used this raw unfiltered wildflower honey, so it's kind of dark. So just know that whatever color your honey is, it could make your barbecue sauce darker. Mine's going to be darker as opposed to being more of a peachy color when I'm done, but it's because of the honey I'm using. If you use a clover honey or a honey that's more amber in color, you'll see more of the peach color in your barbecue sauce. We have that, and then we need 3/4 of a cup of apple cider vinegar, or I used this organic white balsamic. It's so delicious. If you've not tried white balsamic vinegar, I urge you to give it a try. It is really, really delicious. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of Worcestershire, and then we're going to add 2 teaspoons of crushed red pepper to give it some zing. Now, On your spices, you can adjust your spices safely in any canning recipe. So if you don't want your barbecue sauce to be really zesty, then use less of the red pepper flakes. Or if you want it more zesty, you can add more. And then we need 2 teaspoons of dry mustard. Again, if you want more of that, it's totally fine. You can add more of that. And then we need 1 teaspoon of salt. The salt is up to you. If you don't want salt, you don't have to add it. If you want it saltier, we can taste it before we can it up and decide if you want more salt or not. But that's all there is to it. So we're gonna stir this all together. And then we're gonna bring it up to a simmer, and we're gonna let it simmer. Their recipe says 25 minutes. I simmered mine longer because it'll soften up your peaches more and make it easier to get the texture that we're looking for. So at least 25 minutes, I would say 25 to 35 minutes. So you can kind of use your own discretion on that. Also, a word about your peaches. Make sure you're using a ripe peach. It should give a little bit when you gently squeeze it. You don't want to use hard or unripe peaches here. So that's kind of important for that note, and I think that's it. So I'm gonna get my sauce simmering, and then I'll bring you back and we will continue. Okay guys, we're back. I just wanted to show you, we've got a really nice simmer going on here. Look at all those beautiful colors. I cannot tell you how good this is, and it's so great for summer. Anyway, we're going to continue to simmer until our sauce is the consistency of a thin commercial barbecue sauce. Now, like I said, you could cook it a little bit longer and take it a little bit further to the texture that you want, but remember, we are going to puree it with our immersion blender, so keep that in mind. But we want to keep going for between 25 and 35 minutes. So when we get there, I'll bring you back and we'll can it up. Okay guys, here we go. I wanted mine to thicken up a little more, so mine's been cooking for about 45 minutes, but I think we're to the point that we can do a good blitz right now, and our sauce should be fine. But you can see your peaches are starting to break down, and this is what they were talking about in the reviews. People who had reviewed this recipe, see how in this state it's more like a chutney, and it's totally fine to leave it that way, but I wouldn't really call that a barbecue sauce. So I'm not sure why Ball suggests leaving it that way, but anyway, they did say that it is safe to puree it, so that's what we're going to do. And I'm going to use my trusty little immersion blender. These are invaluable. I'm going to turn my heat off, and then I'm just going to gently process it until it's the texture that I want it. Now keep in mind that it is super duper hot, so when it cools it will be thicker. So you can completely puree it, or you can leave some of the veggies and peaches intact. It's up to you. But isn't it beautiful, and it smells delicious? I like to see the flecks of the peaches and the red peppers in mine, so I am not going to fully puree it. And honestly, I think that's probably pretty good for me. But see, you can see the texture of it, and it's just so pretty. I'm gonna give it just a little bit more. And then we're good to go. Up next, canning. Okay guys, here we go. We're all ready to can. I'm so excited. Modern canning guidelines state that you do not need to pre-sterilize your jars and lids if you are going to be processing for 10 minutes or longer, and we're going to be processing for 15 minutes, and we are going to be canning in the 8-ounce jelly jars, which is what the recipe says to do. Now, I know someone's going to ask me if you can do this in pints. I don't know why you couldn't, but Ball did not include instructions for pints. So if you are interested in that, I'll have to do a little more research with Ball and ask them if you can do it in pints. But actually the 8-ounce jars are nice because that's perfect usually for one batch of chicken or fish or pork chops, whatever you're doing, that's usually enough. So let's get started. I have simmering water in my water bath canner, and my jars are nice and hot. And we are going to ladle our sauce into a hot jar, and we want 1/2 inch of headspace. And then we're going to, actually we're going to debubble first, so it's nice to use a debubbling tool. Whatever you use, make sure it's plastic. And you just want to release any bubbles from the bottom of the jar, so just gently go around your jar and then check your headspace and make sure you are at your 1/2 inch, because sometimes when you debubble, your headspace does, it does give you more headspace and you can add more of whatever you're canning. But mine stayed at about 1/2 inch. So we're gonna wipe our rims after we debubble, and then we're going to place our lid and put our rings on fingertip tight. Place your lid, add your ring to fingertip tight, and then we're going to lift it into our water bath canner. And do 2 more jars. Now the recipe does state that it will do 8-ounce jars. So we'll see how many we get. I did cook mine, like I said, for a little bit longer than the 25 minutes that Ball states, so we'll see. Okay guys, I got 6 8-ounce jars and some change, an extra tablespoon or 2. So there was some evaporation that took place during the extra time that I cooked it. So the recipe might be off a little bit. The first time I made this, in light of full disclosure, I didn't can it. I just made it because I was testing it to see if I even liked the sauce, and we fell in love with it, which is why we're canning it now. So I only got 6. And I would count on that because I really didn't cook it a whole lot longer than what they said. They did say 25. I cooked it for about 45 minutes, so maybe 20 minutes longer, but I can't imagine that that's 16 ounces worth of evaporation going on. So, and I measured everything exactly. So I would count on 6 to 7 half-pint jars. Okay, so now we're going to, I take the vinegar that I use to wipe the rims of my jars, and I put that in my canner to keep my jars nice and clean. For those of you who are new to canning, we have mineral deposits in our water that like to collect on the outside of our jars, and if you put a couple tablespoons in your water during the canning process, then it keeps it from doing that and keeps your jars nice and clean and really pretty. So we are ready to start canning. I'm going to lower my basket, grab my lid, and then we're going to start out on high and get it up to temperature, and once the water comes to a full rolling boil, that's what you need for water bath canning, then you start timing, and we're going to time 15 minutes. Once our 15 minutes are up, you're going to turn your heat off, remove your lid, let your jars sit inside your canner for 5 minutes, and then we'll take them out. So I'll bring you back. Okay guys, we are up to a full rolling boil, so we can start timing, and we're looking for 15 minutes. So I'm going to set my timer for 15 minutes, and when our time is up, I'll bring you back. Okay guys, our time is up. So I'm going to turn my canner off and I'm going to remove my lid. Now, just a word about timing, and I usually try to remind you to adjust for altitude. Whenever I can, I'm canning for less than 1,000 feet. So all of my processing times and when I'm pressure canning, my pressure is for less than 1,000 feet. So make sure you check your altitude and you know what adjustments you need to make. I think what I might start doing, just for more clarity, and I want to make my videos as helpful and as good as they can be, I think I'll start putting in the description underneath my video the different times and maybe some of the adjustments you need to make for your altitude. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you want, for those of you who live in higher altitudes, do you want more information, or is that overkill for you? I know there are some new canners that have subscribed to my channel, and I'm just trying to be as clear as I can. So let me know your thoughts on that. So we're gonna wait 5 minutes and I'll bring you back and show you how beautiful this barbecue sauce is. Okay guys, our 5 minutes are up. So now we can take out our barbecue sauce. And our jar should start sealing. This sauce is so pretty, and it's, oop, hear that? And it's just delicious. I was really happy with the way it turned out the first time I made it. Oops. Show you how beautiful it is. Isn't that gorgeous? It's so good. If you like peach, you'll love it. Now this sauce, as I was tasting it, was thinking of all the different ways you could use it. It is absolutely divine on pork chops. And tonight we're gonna have it on grilled chicken. So make sure you stay tuned, because my next video is gonna be about making the grilled chicken. I'm gonna share with you a delicious marinade, and then we'll be finishing it off with this delicious sauce. But the flavors, as I was tasting it, I think would go really well. You could use it as a dipping sauce for all kinds of things. Chicken nuggets for your kiddos, or French fries if you like that sweet kind of thing, for something different. But the flavor profile also reminds me of Asian food. So I think this would be really delicious if you mixed it with a little bit of soy sauce and used it as a dipping sauce for like egg rolls or pot stickers. It'd be really good that way. I'm planning on making pepper steak later this week, and I thought, as I tasted it, I thought that would be a really good addition to pepper steak if you just wanted to change it up a little bit. So there's a lot of different ways to use this sauce. It's also, I would say it's delicious on pork, I know that for sure. Tonight we're having it on chicken, and it would also be great on fish. Not so sure that it would be great with beef, but certainly the pork, chicken, and fish it would be absolutely delicious on. So I hope you will give it a try. But I did want to also show you the texture. This is some of what I had left over from the first batch I made. So I wanted to show you that it does thicken up. So it is thicker than what you saw before we canned it. But it's just really great. I left mine a little bit chunky, but you can process it to whatever texture you like. If Ball says you can, it's safe to totally puree it. So if you want to totally puree it so it's nice and silky smooth, feel free to do that. But I like mine with a little bit of chunky peach in there. So anyway, thanks so much for coming along with me today. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you like the recipe, give me a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you're not a subscriber, and be sure to check me out on Instagram and Facebook, because like I said, I share things there that sometimes don't make it to my channel, and I also give you sneak peeks of things that I have going on in my kitchen. So anyway, have a great day guys, and thanks for watching.